Okay, so our final speaker is the student experience, and I really wanted to get that student perspective as well, because really, ultimately, that's what we're doing it for. That's why we're here. You know, we're not here for any other, we're not talking about this for any other reason but the student. So I think you've already answered some of these questions, but one of the main ones is basically, what is your experience of the assessment, and have you had different experience in different courses with different types of things? And if you do have any horror stories, please feel free to share them.
Okay. My experience with e-marking and online learning has been largely positive. I'm pretty positive about it, and I suppose that might be indicative of my age group and growing up with computers and such. When I first came to university as a first year, I came from a high school that only just as I was leaving had implemented a online learning tool. So I had received all my marking and stuff on paper, and that was fine. It was all I'd experienced. So I didn't know that there was different ways of doing it. But you know, there's always issues in that I'd had assignments lost then, and yeah, just like sometimes teachers, and it still happens at university. Sometimes I can't read the writing, and sometimes it's just not as clear as it could be. But yeah, so now that I'm at university, one of the first things I noticed was that everything is in one place. And I'm talking about my grades, all my course information, but also if they've used Turnitin and marked online, all my assignments are actually there as well, and I can access that, and I know that it's there. I don't have to think my assignment is in this drawer at home or in this folder, or I've got it lying around here, or did I throw that out accidentally, or if I can't find it, I panic because if I've thrown it in the bin or something. The assignments that I have received back online, I just know that they're there, and I don't have to actually stress about that, which is really good, really helpful. Essentially, I do kind of, like I said, get excited about when I do get an assignment marked on Turnitin, because not everybody does it. Some courses are better at utilizing it than others. Some tutors are better than others, even in the same courses. But at the end of the day, I do much prefer reading my assignments online, just out of pure convenience. Really, comes down to just little things like when someone's marked by hand. Sometimes the comments will be in the margin, and that's fine, but it's not always perfectly clear what these comments are referencing, and what I actually should be changing, whether it's an overall comment about my whole assignment or whether it's a particular one. Whereas stuff like Turnitin and my uni grading, like you can actually, the comments are actually pointing straight to certain sections of my work. You can highlight certain sections, you can do all that kind of stuff, which is really handy for me. Plagiarism, Turnitin is amazing for plagiarism checking. For me, I can check and see, and it will highlight the sections, and it will tell me which URL I've actually taken the information from, and that's not always a bad thing. I can actually see exactly the online article that I've taken my information from, and normally it's just quotes and stuff. But even if I have accidentally put a sentence in that's too close to someone else's, I realize that that's probably
before you submit.
I
let my first year students check before they submit.
Yeah.
There's a difference of opinion in the department.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that it would be, from a teaching perspective, it would be a bit of a decision to come to whether to allow students to check and resubmit as well, because you have the option obviously to allow students to resubmit after they're submitted once. But I think in my experience in first year is when I first had that plagiarism checker, I immediately panicked because I didn't realize how much quotes and stuff actually make up a lot of my essays, and because I'm big for like putting as many quotes in as I can, and I did have a bit of a panic moment in my first assignment when I realised the percentage that was quite high, and I was emailing my tutor / lecturer, and I was saying, oh, what's the go here, what's happening, is this okay, and I was reassured that it was fine, but so I suppose in that case, if I hadn't been allowed to like resubmit or anything, that would have made it a lot harder for me and like a bit less peace of mind about the whole situation, I guess.
Clarify, you can set it up so
The
that
setting-
kids
the
are
settings.
able to do.
So this is separate from marking. You're going to have them submit through, turn it into check for plagiarism. They can submit before the due date, have a look at their originality report, and I encourage them to do that.
Seems like really useful, especially for kind of Asian background students who kind of have
Yeah.
concerns about.
Well, the cynicism on some of my colleagues' part is the students will do this to see what they can get away with. I think that's a bit.
Well, I think that if you have a student who wants to be fraudulent, they'll be fraudulent in some
Seems like
way.
a lot of work to
Yeah.
do. But just write the essay.
I think what Jay said is quite correct. That it actually allows, and the thing is, if we give them the opportunity, if we talk to them about what that originality report actually is reporting on, and that they understand that they need to use quotes in a certain way, that they need to reference, that, you know, and I like what you said about, if my phrasing or my wording is very close to something else, even though I did come up with it myself, that it gives you that opportunity to actually go, well, you know what, I'm going to say this in a different way, which means you're really thinking about the topic. And I think it is actually, you know, assessment is not just about getting it right. It's about learning process of how do I do it to get it right.
I allow my students to resubmit as many times as they want prior to the due date.
Yeah.
They can resubmit 5 times if they want. If they get in there early enough, they can resubmit.
So Turnitin and my uni assignments both allow that resubmission of assignments, and I highly recommend it because I don't see any problem with it, because I think that when people are wanting to plagiarize or wanting to put in something late, or they will do that. I mean, that's regardless of.
Well, it's like you were saying with the Dropbox. Like I've got friends who have done the timestamp thing and gone home, done their assignment, handed it. Like people, like students will find a way to cheat if they really want to. There's nothing you can do to stop them. At the end of the day, it's their responsibility for their own learning. So it's like.
And if we've seen Four Corners week this week, we know that universities will too.
That's right.
Also, I heard a new one I've never heard before from my niece, who's also a student, who said that she knows friends who can't get the word count, and what they do is they just type anything and then make the writing white, so you can't see it, and it increases their word count. I was like, really?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good one.
Just do a bit more reading.
And then you save it as a PDF, upload it, it's all good. And but the
Wow.
word count will come up as, because it's just a different colour text, and you can't see it. I'm just like, oh god. So people will be inventive.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the thing, and it really, at that point, you're doing everything that you can to like allow that not to happen. You've got plagiarism checkers and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing more that you can do, really.
I'm not there to police them. I'm there to teach them how to paraphrase, how to use other people's ideas.
Exactly, and I'm essentially not getting my money's worth if I'm cheating in every assignment anyway. So that's the way I see it anyway.
I'm quite happy with them to submit their time.
Model student, you are.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? I was
That most students are surprised when you show them what plagiarism looks like. They're surprised because they thought it was okay, because in high school they were told that it's okay, actually.
Well, no, they're not.
I don't know.
We have lots of problems with plagiarism at the state school and stuff like that. It's really, really nasty stuff.
I think they just don't understand what plagiarism is. I think that's more.
Well, that's the stand I take, that I give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think they're trying to do the right thing.
I think that's the best way to do it, really, because like at the end of the day, if you're villainizing every student who they may not even realize what they're doing, essentially, it's just easier on you and them, I guess.
Another way to avoid that, by the way, is to actually have assessment that is not unable to be plagiarized. So when we're looking at assessment, if we're looking at very traditional writing assignments and things like that, if a student has to write, for example, you want them to write an application for a job, well, they can't really plagiarize that. That has to be about them and what they've done. Or you might say, I'm going to have a completely different assessment. I'm going to have, actually Kayoko, who's left now, what she did with her students, she was assessing, she was getting them to create a blog, a video blog. So they have to talk in Japanese, record that, have that there, and then she would assess that. Now that is a skill that they can't plagiarize, and it's also a skill that's very real life. They may have to do this. They may have to present something on a website, or they may have to communicate with someone via Skype, or whatever it may be. So they're learning.
You know what the student looks like.
I actually took that course with Kayoko.
I do have to log into my uni. See, that's.
I actually took that course with Kayoko, and it was a really interesting assignment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that sometimes it's not really, we're focusing on this thing called plagiarism when really we should be focusing on creating assessment, designing assessment that actually doesn't allow for allows students to actually show off their skill and their what they've learned. Yeah.
The other thing as well, in terms of having assignments, checking comments and assignments after they've been returned to you, the thing about it being online as well is that it can be very tricky in receiving a paper copy of your assignment, in the way that if you're sick on the day of the shoot that everyone receives their assignments on, sometimes you just never see that assignment. It just never gets back to you. It just doesn't align in that way, especially at end of semesters and all that kind of stuff. Like often, like I haven't seen an assignment again, and I've just had to go off of the grade that I've gotten on my uni in my grade centre, which is okay, but at the end of the day, it's better to have the comments and stuff. The other thing as well is I may not check my Turnitin or my uni comments straight away because I will be waiting for the next assessment to actually use that information, rather than just like, I mean, I have a general curiosity to know straight away, but I've been at the point where I've just so over an assignment that I don't even want to look at it after I've gotten it back. I'll know my grade, and that's done. I'm finished with it. Until the next one where I actually need to use the information that's been given to me. So, yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, every student's different, and I would say that the best way to overcome students not actually looking at that stuff is to actually remind them to, because it often if I don't have an email saying the assignment's up, go have a look at it, I won't know, so I don't check it.
And still.
Yeah.
But at least I know, and I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
As you say.
That's it. If you're doing everything you can,
but
as students, we're responsible.
It isn't obvious how to receive feedback from
Yeah.
students, and we can't assume that it is. It's not obvious.
Yeah.
And it doesn't occur to them. It's not intuitive either.
Yeah.
That you would go back to where you submitted it to.
No, that's
Which is another, I'm not going to harp on about it, but which is another reason why in my uni SIST we've been hosting first year workshops where we're talking about how to access your grades and all that kind of stuff, because it's important for students to know that. So even if you want to point them towards us in our hot desking that we're going to be doing in Ask Adelaide, where they'll be able to come to us and talk to us about it. That's even an option as well. If you notice that students consistently not checking their comments and stuff, you can always point them to us if you don't want to tell them how to do it or don't have the energy, which is acceptable.
I've also created a little video about how, for the students. So but I mean anybody can use it. You don't have to be an inquiring mind, but it's just a video that you can link to, that you can use in any. So it's just how do I submit my Turnitin assignment? How do I view my marked Turnitin assignment, or my submitted assignment that hasn't been marked yet? Because you can do that as well. So you might want to go back and check. Oh, that's what I submitted. That's right.
How is My Uni Assist different from the help desk?
The confusion reigns in terms of the support options. So really, that's probably a really good thing to end on. Thanks, Wayne. You've done it again. We sort of created this brochure because there is actually a lot of support out there for everyone. It is just confusing navigating who do I call. So essentially what you need to know is that if there's something technically wrong with the system, you need to essentially call the service desk, the IT service desk, which will connect you through to the My Uni option is number 3. So if there's something technically that you're just, it's broken, it's not working, it's not loading, all that kind of stuff. But of course, if there's a how-to one that you can't think of, you can call them as well. So that is the technical. So we have different options. So Technology Services provides training. So we have a trainer just over there who's going to do a little thing on marking with apps in a little while. But they provide training, which is fairly generic training. We've got some of the manuals lying around as well if you want to grab one. Basically, that is how do I do it? How do I actually wear all the buttons, all that sort of stuff. So that's what they provide. E-learning advisors, so that's me, are located. Each faculty has one e-learning advisor, and what we're doing, it's a bit of a combination of how to and what would be good ways. So I'll give you an example. For Gareth was already doing some great teaching, but I've helped him turn that into an online thing because it created more efficiencies for him. And he hadn't thought about certain things in that way. So that's just one little example. But there's many examples. So we look at pedagogy, how you would teach, why you would teach it in a certain way, and why you would do that in a certain way online, and what's the best way how students will learn. So that's e-learning advisor, one in each faculty, and one central one here as well. My Uni Assist, which I think Jay has already explained. So these are student ambassadors that will come out to your desk. So you ring them and they come to your desk and they will help you. And so will e-learning advisors, by the way.
Because we've been trained in how to use My Uni, and just questions about, like, for example, maybe your question about, like, is it possible to have 2 grades for assignment for one student? It's probably best to, if you want to figure out an alternative for that, to have us come and talk to you about it, or Bridget, and we will like go through your options with you as well, because it's a lot more personal than an online support thing, which is
so, and that's if you sometimes, I mean, and this is one of the things, I'm quite new to my role, but one of the things I've found is that it is so useful to see what's going on someone's screen, or and when they're there, and then they can even access some other materials that they might have and go, oh, well, actually this thing I wanted to do as well, and because you're right there, you can look at the materials right.
They can access my screen. That's what you were doing when I was
Oh yeah, yeah.
This screen up. But
it's different because you get ideas, and you kind of and it's more creative. I mean, in My Uni they fix problems, whereas this is like a dialogue.
Yeah,
It's easy. I only come in once a week for 2 hours, right? So for me to actually come in and see someone is by last week I haven't got any parking here. It's about 2 or 3 hours.
So then I'd like to recommend that you, when you are here, come to this space.